Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the next page. This one, number 9. As previously explained, all views are that of myself or Speed on our own accord. We have no affiliation with any side or anything like that. So these views are purely our own throughout the show. With that being said, don't forget, if you want to join us on the show, be here in the box with us. Join the Discord over that way in the chat. And obviously down in YouTube links, there'll be links in the below side. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and also give the YouTube a like, a sub, and hit that notification so you don't miss the next video. All right. Interesting couple of weeks, Speed. Twitch has kind of slowed down a little bit. They've given us bugger all this this past 2 weeks, haven't they?
Amazingly, Twitch seems to be heading in a proper direction.
They seem to have floated properly, haven't they?
I mean, because I think it was a couple of weeks ago there was that streamer that obviously broadcasted herself doing extremely lewd things, but that's like a regular occurrence, really.
It's almost daily over there, isn't it now?
Almost is, yeah. It's but they seem to be heading in a proper direction. Like it's like they've thought about what they're going to do before they've done it. So
I'm not sure I agree with that.
I know it's a bold statement.
I mean, I think you might be shooting it a little bit too quick there, mate.
I know. I couldn't trust Twitch as far as I could throw it. But anyway, so it looks like they're actually implementing proper age gating. So it's mainly directed to users under the age of 13.
That already straight away, I'm just going to jump on that one. Already, that's a problem because there's no way to verify at the setup stage, is it?
Well, I mean, you could easily falsify verification. It's not.
That's right.
It's not that hard. All right, so what they'll be doing is a phone verification requirement. You could falsify that. I mean, unless it's like tapping into some sort of government details about you, or who owns that account profile. You could just use a burner phone.
But I mean, even for example, like for especially you and I, like our kids with phones, they're in our name anyway. Like the actual account is in our name, so we can recharge or pay the bill. So realistically, it's going to be a negative content right there because they can still get around that little system. So again, this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So this is from Twitch themselves. It said introducing mandatory phone verification requirements before potentially vulnerable accounts are able to live stream, in order to better prevent any users under 13 who made accounts with false age information from going live and putting themselves at risk before we're able to identify and remove their account. How are they going to know what's false and what's real?
Well, again, like this seems to be another one of those fly-by-night things. Like, oh yeah, great idea. Oh, that didn't work. I don't know. Like personally, your thing, but for me, I don't see this lasting any longer than about 2 months before it's pretty much abolished because they can't track it. There's no way to physically track a user's age.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem that's always been there. I mean, Mixer had the same issue. I mean, Mixer had the family rating, the teenage rating, and then the more mature rating for your streams. But how do you track that? Pretty much. There's no way to do it. Apart from
there's really not.
The way that Glimish is doing. It's like this is a mature stream. Do you want to continue and watch it? Yes or no? It's like if you go to an adult entertainment site, right? There's that part. Are you over the age of 18? Yes, no. Yes. Oh, well, that was easy. Jeez. Like,
yeah, there's no way to, like, unless you get into photo identification and you have some sort of like ID structure, which you only get when you're 18 anyway. how are
Yeah,
you really going to monitor an age bracket? You can't
you
do
can't.
it unless it's a report that comes in and says, "Oh, this user's 13," and it's like, "Oh, we can't verify it, but okay, we'll take your
You
word
can't.
for it."
Look,
You know, how is that a thing? Like, it's
in
so
all
hard to get
honesty,
around.
if there were people who were going to figure out how to do it, it would be the adult entertainment industry.
Oh,
They'd be
exactly. Yeah.
all over it. Like that
I
is
mean, they've
a
been at it longer than what the streaming has been.
multi-million-dollar industry. Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly.
they live for money. Like so, yeah. If anyone was going to figure out, it's going to be them. Twitch, they can try their hardest. It's just not going to happen. I don't see it lasting either. I don't
No,
like
I reckon
they've
give it
even
into the new year and it'll be gone, that feature.
yeah. So they're also refining their moderation technology that allow staff and users to review certain user reports to better ensure that reported instance involving children under 13 is prioritized and quickly actioned. So even they know, right? This is all in the same thing, right? So even they
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
that it can't be stopped, but they're just
That's right.
trying to cover their ass
It
in
it
case it
seems
goes
like
tits
a
up.
it seems like a oh, we blew up 2 weeks ago and we're sinking, but here let's just put a band-aid on and get people's attention over there because
Hmm.
over here is a shit show. And it's almost like smoke and mirrors, cloak and daggers. You know, it's kind of just trying to divert the attention away from the main issues.
Hmm. So this one's interesting. So they've stated we've continued to deepen our collaboration with expert organizations who report to us about behavior on Twitch as well as grooming trends in the wider industry in order to keep increasing our global capacity to monitor proactively for predatory behavior. Good fucking luck with that.
Hey, I just had this amazing idea. Look, I mean, probably a side note first, an amazing idea coming out of the
Right?
show. But how would an age restriction go if parents actually did parenting?
What?
I mean, if you see where I'm going now,
Parents
like I mean,
doing
they're
parenting?
talking about the grooming and stuff, but I mean, if the kids weren't just handed a phone, like, oh, fuck off, go and leave me alone,
Yeah,
and
and
gone
then
to
they live
free
stream on
roam,
their phone. Yeah,
the parents would actually know what's going on, wouldn't they? So
yeah.
again, at what point can we stop expecting, and I say expecting, or demanding that streaming sites, aka Twitch, Glimish, Facebook, YouTube, all that, bring in these security features to protect the children when the parents aren't doing the children protecting?
All right. Well, it shouldn't be up to them though. Like that's the thing. Like it really should be a parental responsibility. Like there is no way in hell I would let my son, unless he was mature enough, to live stream on any platform at all. Like
Yeah.
it just wouldn't happen.
But I mean, it's also not just the live streaming; it's also the chatting too. It's also having those kids
Yeah.
in chat and knowing that. But like for me, examples like Glimish opened, the kids had just turned 13. It was okay. They're a little bit under, or sorry, they were 12 when it first opened. But I kind of waited and waited and waited, and I said, okay, what we'll do is we'll secure your account. Then once you're 13, I'll give you the sign-in details. So for almost a year, they had an account but never used it. And
Yeah.
it was the same across pretty much anything that's got an age restriction.
So
So
all right.
it's coming down to if you supervise in the right way and you understand the rules and the regulations, there's no reason a parent can't do their job.
Yeah, I think currently that's the only way it's going to work is if
Yeah.
parents actually do parenting and supervise their kids. I mean, what there was that young girl, was it here in Glimish, was streaming without an adult present. Like that happened. Like, but the parent was off in the other room.
Yeah, I
So
mean the parent was there,
like,
so they obviously knew what was going on. but they
Still,
obviously
like
weren't on
a
camera
child
and
of
whatever else. So
that
yeah, I
age,
remember
not going to say
something.
how old that child was, but a child of that age shouldn't have been doing that in the first place, especially by
Yeah,
themselves.
you wouldn't expect that to be happening anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, I do agree. I mean, it's definitely something that parents have got to. I guess if the parents aren't taking it seriously, how
mm,
can the kids take it seriously and expect to have a safe environment
well,
out
whatever the
here
parents
in
do is
internet
what the
world?
kids are going to learn. Like
Exactly.
that's they just sponge off their parents. So
Hmm. Monkey see, monkey do.
currently, in its state, it's parental responsibility. Obviously the streaming platforms, try to cover their ass. You know, this is mature content. Do you want to watch it? Yes, no.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
them
yeah.
covering their ass because they know they can't do anything else other than that.
No, that's
So,
exactly right.
do we get to a stage where we need to restrict the age of streaming itself? Do we need to
Nah,
involve
nah,
government identification? So, like, say,
nah.
driving
I,
licenses or,
that
over 18 cards, passports. Like, do we need to go to
no,
that
because
extent?
again, like when you're looking at some of the like a young kid I used to follow for the longest period of time on Facebook and even through Twitch is young Bray the Reaper. And he started when he was like 10 years old. But he always had dad there. Like dad was always with him. Dad took it very seriously.
Yeah.
Dad showed him the way
Mm.
to manage his online usage, his online account,
Yeah.
his profile, his chat. So dad taught him, look, mate, you can't have that. Get rid of that out, and started to do that shit. So dad got in and dad helped shape that situation. I think what
Yeah.
we see now in a lot of society, and I mean, you can walk around shopping centers, shopping malls, you can walk outside, you can, like how many times have you seen mum pushing kid in a pram, the kid's on a fucking tablet?
Oh,
Like, come on now. Like,
I, s-
I get it. You can see what
I
the
see
kid's
it more
doing at
often
that
than I
point,
should.
but seriously, like, why? Like you walk through the shopping center, kids screaming, mum hands him the phone. Here, just watch whatever. Like again, at that point,
Look,
it's you're not being the directive that you need to show the children. This world that we call the internet is a dangerous bloody place. Whether you like it or not,
yeah.
it's
And
safe if
that,
you know how to use it, and it's very dangerous if you don't.
yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's just this sort of generation.
Hmm.
The older
Yeah.
generation is struggling to sort of keep up with the times. The more middle generation kind of gets it. Uh,
Hmm.
there's sort of like a sweet spot in the age
Yep.
where we understand the technology and we understand
Hmm.
the dangers of the technology.
Yep.
But then just outside of that are these newer parents,
Hmm.
who just either don't understand or they don't care.
Yeah.
And
And that's a
they think,
dangerous
oh yeah,
situation.
my child's going to be perfectly safe being on the internet, going, on Omegle and shit like that. Yeah, no, absolutely fucking
Well,
not,
I mean,
mate.
do you know, we sidestep slightly from streaming here, but in general, um, like I saw on Facebook yesterday, the police had actually put out a notification. Like they highlighted, oh, I'm a robber. I know your address. I'm on your friends list. Blah blah blah. I've seen all your shopping. I know when you're going out because you've already told me. Blah blah blah. Thanks for the presents. It's like people don't understand that signifying your life on the web is a problem. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm going to go shopping at Myer. I'm going to spend $1,000. Look what I bought for $1,000,
yeah,
and look, here's my pretty house,
th-
and
yeah,
this is my front door, and and then all of a sudden, these people start tempted. People who are less fortunate start going, oh, I could do with a new TV.
yeah.
She's
This
going
is
out
this
tomorrow
is
because she's
where,
going out with friends, or maybe I can break in and take the TV. Before you know it, you've got
yeah,
a bigger problem because you
and this
can't do the right things.
yeah, this is where the biggest problem is, right? It's this
Mm,
generation,
yep,
because they admit way too much personal information on the internet,
yep.
like way too much. Like they're live streaming their daily life. I mean, that
Oh,
I get it in certain scenarios. Yes, okay, I understand. It's probably good content and whatnot, but there you still have to be very specific on what you tell people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I will tell people I live on the Gold Coast. I'm fine with that. So good luck finding me on the Gold Coast. It's fucking huge.
The Gold
Like,
Coast is
it's
massive.
like, yeah,
I normally
I
just say
work
I'm in
I work
Brisbane
in a
because Brisbane
supermarket.
covers,
Yeah,
like areas, like
yeah, it's like I work in a supermarket. Cool, have fun searching thousands of supermarkets. You know,
right.
yeah, I'll sort of be specific but very unspecific at the same time because you don't want to.
You're being
Because I'm
informative without being specific.
yeah, like I like being very open about my life. Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with doing so, but I do keep certain bits of information to myself
But you have to.
for my own safety, really.
You have to, don't you? Really?
Yeah, but
But this is what I'm
it's just
saying. So it's not just streaming; it's general life. They just put everything
yeah,
online. Like
yeah. But
it's
you've got
crazy.
these parents as well who shopping again, for example, because I see it so
Mhm.
often. You'll see these parents just walking along with their kids, and their kids will just fucking dart. They'll just bugger off somewhere else, and they're just like, "Oh, that's fine. I'll come back." It's like, no,
I mean,
you're in a
shit, I remember if I
crowded
ran off
shopping
from
center. Oh,
if I ran off from my mum, I would have copped a hide.
I
Like I would
remember
have known about it for a week.
I had my eldest with me one day, and I was shopping for him. Right, I had turned my back for like 10 seconds. Gone. He was out of there. Like, I'm looking around, I'm stressing, I'm yelling out his name, like, where are you? Ended up going out the front of the shop. There he is, just in like the little ride, just having a jolly good old time. The ride's not on, it's just having a fun time. Like, but
You gotta
it's
love those
those
shopping center
moments, like,
rides, don't you?
yeah, they put him right out the front to entice the
Yeah,
kids.
it's such a tempting, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like,
And that
but
would have been
that's where
back
you
before the
take the
gates were on,
opportunity.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, like that's where you gotta take the opportunity and teach your children the right
Safety, yeah.
and wrong thing to do. Like,
Exactly.
obviously, that's a wrong thing to do. You don't just dart off. You're too young. You can't look after yourself.
Mm.
You know, you need to
Yeah.
start making the right decisions. Like, my kids know now. Like, they're thankfully. But I see so many parents who just have just utter neglect when it comes to their kids, and like, we shouldn't be
I
like,
wouldn't
"Oh,
even
you're parenting wrong," but you kind of are.
I mean,
It's a
look,
really
you're
awkward
free to
spot
parent your own way. I mean, you really are, but I mean, you got to look at safety. Like, how
within
much do you
reason.
value your kids' safety? Like, think about their safety. Like, I mean,
Well, they obviously
you're
don't
all right. I
because
mean, you can walk around a shopping center and deal with yourself, but your kids can't,
yeah,
and they
but they
can't deal with it
obviously don't
online.
care
Mm.
because they let their kids get away with bloody murder out in public. And so they're just going to let them do whatever they want online.
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
even
they're
been
all.
here with my kids, right? For example, like, they've been playing a game like, say, Roblox or whatever, and they start talking about certain stuff. I'm like, no, 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 you can't, you can't say that,
Yeah, no.
like, where we live or who our family members are. You can't do that. You can't
Yeah,
say
no.
that stuff to random people on the internet
No.
because you just don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
online safety is a big problem across this generation, especially, and the next generation coming through is going to be even fucking worse
oh,
because this generation don't see the dangers in it, and they all think it's safe. Oh, I've got an antivirus; it's all safe. That's not going to
yeah.
stop anything.
Like,
God
you see
damn.
these people, doing these broadcasts and whatnot, and putting their lives out there. Then they wonder why they get stalked by creeps and predators
Or they
and
get
like all this.
swatted, or
Yeah, or or they have like creepy people following them whilst they're doing a live stream out in public. Like, you're asking
Mm.
for that. That
Yeah,
that
you're
is the
asking for
risk
that
that
kind of
you are
trouble.
taking on board when you are doing that. So,
Yeah,
again, parental responsibilities.
I think parental responsibility's got to cover any age bracket. It can't just be a case of 13 and up, Twitch has got to cover that. No, no, no. The parents have to instruct and control that environment
Yeah.
at least until they're 14, 15. Some 13-year-olds have got a little bit more intelligence and a little bit more
Hmm.
sense about, how to go about online safety because they've been instructed since, they're a little. They kind of understand that you can't evolve that kind of information. But nine out of 10 times, they're not really picking that stuff up until secondary school, where they're starting to learn about, IT and what's involved. And then they start realizing, oh crap, that's actually a thing. Like I thought mum and dad were just old people who just didn't care. It's like that is actually a thing. And
Yeah.
then they start realizing. So I think up until a certain window, I think it's got to be a parental responsibility. Then after that,
Yes.
I don't think there's a need for it because
Well,
like
I don't.
the sites don't need it. It's already there. It's already inbuilt in the child and in the parent. It's already
Yeah.
structured.
But I also don't think there's enough education around the dangers of the internet.
There's really not.
Like,
There really isn't.
no, because the
That
internet is a place for literally everything. If there
I
was
mean,
anything you wanted to find on the internet, you could find it.
what would be interesting is to, um, I guess, in some ways, like show children, like go to schools, like run like an education unit on how unsafe it is, and get people that have been in that programming industry who can hack and stuff like that, and go, okay, who's got a mobile phone? Oh, I do. Half the class goes up and go, okay, cool. Your name is Bing, and then grab the phone, and show just literally
Right.
on the spot how dangerous it is. I think,
Yeah.
like an educational structure around that would really, really be a thing. But again, how do you implement that across thousands of schools and thousands of
It's got to
countries and stuff
be.
like that? Like it's too hard, like.
It's got to be a government based program, doesn't it? Like
Oh, it has to be,
Healthy
yeah.
Harold. Healthy
Yeah.
Harold goes around to our schools over here. Teaches you about the human body, puberty, all that sort of jazz, which is cool. I mean, it actually kind of works. I mean, if I remember Healthy Harold back when I was in primary school.
Geez, I must be
But
older
you
than
would,
you then, because I don't remember
yeah,
it. He must have
it's
come out
gone
after
back
I
a fair
finished.
way. Maybe, I don't know.
But it would
I'm
have
not
to
that
be
much younger.
something along that structure. It would be
Yeah,
like a group that sort of
good point.
bounces around sort of states and things like that, and highlights these
Yeah.
problems and brings that level of awareness. But again, what government organizations are going to do that? They're all worried about other things. Oh, we don't need to worry about the children. That's a parent's job. So again, it falls back to that. It's the parent's job. Why is it not being done?
I'm sorry. With,
You know?
with the internet being such a major influence on
Mm,
uh, today's generation,
yeah.
same as sex, right? Sex, major influence on this generation. Kids are having sex
Mhm.
earlier and earlier in life. Kids developing earlier. So,
Mm.
but there's a push for knowledge, in public schools and whatnot to have that education put in place so these kids
Yep.
understand what's going on. In
Exactly. Yeah.
a cyber age that we're in now, where literally everything is connected to the internet and you can have access to your internet in your pocket, you know, you need that safety education there. You need to
Yeah.
be able to teach these kids the
So do you?
importance of
Okay.
privacy and the
So in
dangers.
saying that, do you think maybe there's an opportunity for, say, the school system or the education system, not just here in Australia, but obviously
Hmm.
around the world, to maybe look at its curriculum structure and say, okay, we're at a point now where do we need X subject? Argument's sake, let's call history out. Do we need to educate history? If not, can we switch that with, internet protocol safety?
Yeah.
Could there be an educational change and in the curriculum to allow that time to sit in a classroom and understand week in and week out the structure and how hard it is to stay
Well,
safe in the online environment?
like thinking about that, at what age during the schooling life do you start teaching kids about internet safety? Because
You'd
you got
probably want to do it
kids
at the end
as
of junior So like our grade 6
Yeah,
into
but
grade
by
7,
then
which
you've
is the
already
start of secondary school, so kind of that
yeah, but
sort of
by
era.
then you've had like years of kids being on the internet already. You know, they're already exposed to it. You know, they play
Yeah, they're exposed
games
to it, but
and they
they're not likely to use it in the manner that would offer too much obstruction like that. So sort of that 9, 10, 11-year-old, they're just starting to get into it. But if they could then be trained on how to use it properly when they start getting into that 12, 13, 14, they're already aware that, oh, I don't talk about this and I don't do this and I don't show where I'm living and I don't take photos of this and that, whatever else. I don't take school uniforms or, you know,
Mm.
my
All right.
house,
So
things like that. They could understand the actual safety line of it all.
all right. So I have a problem with that. Right, I'm going to use my kids as an example because they're an interesting bunch. Right, so my youngest is in year 4, right?
Yeah.
And
So he's
even when
9.
he was in year 3,
Yeah.
he blurted stuff out. Right, he didn't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Because kids do. I understand kids just they talk and don't think. I get that, but I think the earlier we can get them more knowledgeable on you know what not to do on the internet, the better it will be later on.
So can we just rewind about 10 minutes and go one word? It's called parenting.
Yeah, no,
So
which I
it should
have.
be
I
structured.
have.
Like they shouldn't
I mean,
be
but like
in that
me, right?
environment if they can't.
Yes, but like me, I will parent my kids
Hmm.
when they're around, and I happen to
Yeah,
come
yeah,
across a scenario where that does happen.
yeah.
Can't say a lot for the
The
other
mother,
one.
yeah. No, I get that, but
But
that still falls back to that original point.
it does
Is
parenting,
if it was
yes.
controlled by the parenting, then it got instructed into the school. It could be more detailed in the school. This is why you
It,
don't post it. This is why you don't do this. This is why you don't do that because
yeah,
this is so easy to see. You know.
it would be a lot easier for I guess the schooling system to pick up on it at a later time.
Yeah.
Towards the end of primary school or whatever. Because it is kind of that age where they're starting to
Yeah.
be online more. At the moment, parents just sort of give their kids a console and be like, "Here, go in the other room, leave me alone."
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
exactly right. It's
no.
almost like a childcare thing. It's like, yeah,
I mean, but
that'll
that's
entertain you
fine.
for a few hours.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's wrong. I mean, it's fine. You know, you're more than happy to do that, but you still need to keep an ear out and listen to what's going on,
Well,
and
no,
occasionally
again,
pop in and see what's going
I
down.
don't want to say you need to keep an ear out. I think what you need to do is set boundaries. There is no chat, so you can't. You're
Mm,
playing games that involve you not being online to play with other people, aka your Roblox, your Fortnites, things like
mm,
that, where you don't. You structure their usage in the right way so they don't have that influence of someone in their ear going, "Oh, just download Fortnite. No one will know. It's all right. Just come and play it."
mm,
They don't have that infrastructure, and that's what I had with my kids. I made it very clear with my kids from an early age that you can play the console. I have no issues with you playing the console,
mm,
but you will not be in a party. If I hear that, see it, or whatever, there's going to be trouble. So they instantly
mm.
knew, oh, single player games, it's not going to get,
Yeah, I
because
like.
that level, you've got to create that structure. You've got to create that
Mm,
boundary so they
yeah,
understand. And then over time, they start learning and you start saying, okay, you've got friends at school that play Xbox. Okay, what do they play? Oh, they play Horizon 5. Okay, you can play that with them, but you're not being in a party. So
mm,
then you start releasing that structure and they start learning that this is, and then before you know it they get into a party and they go, oh, hey, you can't say that, that's not right, and you start triggering and you go, right,
yeah,
the education is learnt through
mm,
behavioral acts, and
yeah,
that's the difference, and that's where I
yeah.
say parenting is very different.
Mm. And I like the biggest issue I had was my kids telling other people their age.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I
100%.
there was one time where my kids were in a party chat with their friends. I don't know. They just friended everyone. Everyone was their
Yeah.
friends, and I try. And that was
Don't you
another
love
thing,
that?
right? You can't friend everyone. Just because you friend everyone doesn't mean they're your friends.
No, that's right.
You still got to be very wary of who these people are, because they could be anyone. And I caught a conversation with my kids, and they're like, or I'm 10, for example, and I because they're just over there on the couch. I'm here, and I've stood up like, don't you bloody dare do that again.
Give me the old dad
Ever.
finger. I told you.
It's like, never ever tell
Ever. Yeah.
anyone your age, unless you're like
It's 100%.
old enough where it doesn't matter anyway. Because you just don't know. Like, because these,
Nah.
my kids were making friends with literally everyone. And they were like in chats, which I didn't mind. I didn't like, because it's sort of, it was good for them to have that sort of interaction. But I was still very wary of the conversations that were going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, and you've got to be as a
So,
parent.
yeah,
It's a safety concern.
yeah. So, yeah, overall, parents, pull your fucking finger out.
I
Start
think
doing some bloody parenting.
the base level's got to come from the parents. It's got to come
Yeah.
from the base. It's got to be educated through the family network at home.
Yep.
So that the network outside is a lot safer.
Yeah.
It's
Stop
just got to come down
relying
to
on
that.
technology to fix your problems.
We
And stop
can't
blaming
expect these
your
sites.
problems on other people.
That's right. We can't expect the sites to cover your ass. Like, I'm not a babysitter. Don't dump your kids in my channel, because I'll just ban them straight out of the way. I'm not a babysitter.
Well, we shouldn't be. It's any sort of content creator. It's like, they're not a babysitter for your kids.
No, that's exactly
they're
right.
your kids.
They're not getting paid for
You
it.
should be looking after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
moving along.
So I'm glad we had a good rant.
Sorry about that. That was
Our
a good
inner
conversation.
parents coming out to play.
But it is a big problem in the industry. It's a big problem
is.
stream-wise. It's a big problem on the internet. It's a big problem on safety on the internet. So again, it's not just covering Twitch doing an age limit. It's something that we have to take seriously as parents first,
Yes.
then as people outside of that. Like just got to do it.
Yeah.
So I want to bounce to another
from
subject, because
go for it.
I know this. You are going to love this. I know you post this, but I know you're going to love to speak about this one. So NVIDIA gets hit with a class action lawsuit over the 12V HPWR cable melting problems.
Yeah. So that's obviously come to light because of the whole melting connector issue. Obviously, because the issue is more well known now, people have been sort of stress testing these cables, whether they're from NVIDIA, from third parties, putting them under all sorts of scenarios and whatnot. And it's mixed results, because some people will do the same thing, and one melt, the other one won't. They seem to think that it had something to do with the thinness of the pins, because the pins are so small. When you bend the cable, as any computer guru
as you
would
have
do,
to.
you bend the cable to either make it fit in your fucking case, because the cable, right, so you've got the card, which is fairly wide, and then you've got like this small amount of room between your card and your case. So you've got to bend that cable, right, to make it fit. Problem number one.
It's funny you say that, because just on that topic, I saw a picture the other day of someone said, "Can someone tell me how to get my glass back on, because the plug actually hung outside their case?" It's like, maybe you could get like a 90-degree adapter that just sort of ran up the glass and you could plug into it. But
as much as we hated that ridiculous 45-degree plug that went off to the side on one of the older ones, that actually might have worked on the 40 series cards. Maybe.
Well, my question to that, would they not have been smarter to put the plugs at the back of the card? So at the opposite
you mean
ends
like
the
the unreleased EVGA card?
yeah, right at the back, so they're not on the fucking sides.
The EVGA, right, they did actually make a 4090, and the plug was at the back of the card,
Yeah, makes
which
sense.
makes total sense because you've got room there. Yeah,
Well,
but
you need
Nvidia
meant
and
to
all their
have room
great
there.
Nvidia and all their great wisdom put it on the side, facing like horizontally out. Like
Yeah.
they obviously didn't test it, to see
No.
whether it would fit in a case. They've obviously got it on a test bench, been like, "Oh, sweet, it works, and we'll just, ship it."
But I mean, the problem is, what sort of case would that fit into? Because I know sure as shit a 4098 fit in my case. Not a chance in
My
buggery.
case. So,
Like,
I mean,
how
I
the frick
struggle
am I
getting
going to
my
use it?
PSU in there, let alone a fucking. It's
So
a cramped
again,
design. I will say that, but
like if you've got these cases that are just, they're big enough for what you have now, but they're too small for that kind of card. Like, what are they thinking down the line? Like, yeah, and then
like
like you said, you've got to bend those cables, and that's putting more pressure on the pins. The pins are doing more shit. Then up they go.
yeah, like they're obvious. I don't even think they thought about it at all, because the only cases that those cards can fit into are either modified cases, open
Mm.
air cases, or
They'd be open air cases.
they're just the oversized cases.
Yeah.
But that's no one wants that. No one wants those big chunky cases unless you're like some sort of weirdo that likes to spend tens of thousands of dollars on their PC.
I
But
really think the 4090 was designed for an open air case, which is what I spoke to you about with
probably,
those fans and stuff as well.
yeah,
The way they work is just to push out, like just to pull that air in, because open air they can pull it all in from everywhere and
yeah,
push up onto the card. But
yeah.
I think they're an open air case.
Right.
There's no
So
way around it.
so it's essentially turned into a twofold problem. You've got one, the card doesn't fit in most cases.
Yep.
Two, the cable doesn't fit either. Uh, so obviously people are like bending them. They're either bending them down, which is putting strain on one side of the connector, which has
Yeah.
caused like a large majority of the melting cases because the pins are sort of they're not quite touching, but they are, and it's causing
Causing heat.
arcing or whatever, and yeah, it's heating up and melting. Uh, so people have been stress testing them, putting them under various scenarios, along with
Yeah.
various different, differing results. You know, so and they're even recommending, some third-party adapters and not the originals, because
Mm.
some of the third-party adapters have like they're more solid at the connector base.
Yeah.
So they're not prone to bending as much, but it still holds a problem because you've got to bend it eventually, and
Well,
you're
that's
going to
right. It's
end
still
up
going to
putting
be.
some form of strain on the connector, regardless of how you bend it.
Yeah, exactly right.
So I think, I mean, the 12 pin plus the 4 was actually a reasonable design for a technology standpoint, because the other 4 pins do relay information back and forth between the PSU and the GPU, so it can regulate power and
Voltages
whatnot.
and stuff. Yeah.
But obviously there's a bigger problem.
Mm.
It was a cool idea, probably badly implemented.
Oh, 100%.
Now like AMD have announced their cards, and they've got the dual 8-pin connectors. It's completely just routed around the entire problem. Uh, so
And they don't fill a case up on their own.
no, they don't. So what's the other
So there's
benefit, isn't it?
room.
I mean, you've
There's room to
got
plug cables in.
I mean, and like, we spoke about this, like the efficiency of the design.
Yeah.
So you've got Nvidia with their 3.5, minimum 3.5 slot card, right? This big chunky radiator and one fan. Like, I understand they
Yeah,
wanted
I'm
to
not.
keep the same sort of design principles from the last
Yeah.
generation, but I don't think that they should have. They should have
No.
just gone for something completely different.
Yeah.
That's what AMD did. You know, AMD went from the blower style fan. They had the triple fans for the 6000 series, I believe, and obviously that worked. So they've gone for the triple fans again for the reference design on the 7900s,
Yeah.
and it comes down to a what was it 2 point
4 or
no
2.6 or something, I think it was.
2.6
Yeah, 2.6.
2.6 width card instead of the 3.5 that Nvidia has. So already major benefits. All they had to do was add extra fans. You know, why couldn't
Yeah.
Nvidia do that? You know, why are they so fucking stubborn and just think, oh, this is great? You know, we don't care about power draw. People are going to upgrade their PSUs anyway. You know, this is for the ultimate
Would
high end users, but we know people are going to
is
buy them anyway.
would that be a problem, do you think, with those pins, is that they're underpowered?
I don't think
Do you
so.
think the power supply is not quite up to speed? Because if they're pushing
Because
them
it
to their limit, then maybe the power supply is not giving out the right.
well, so all right. So the new pin design is designed for the new ATX 3.0 power supplies.
Yeah,
That's what it was designed for. So you can use it with a 2.0 power supply, but it's not going to have that information relay.
yeah, it's not going to have the
So
voltage regulator. Yeah,
yeah. So I think they should have just stuck with the 8 pins. Yeah, just the 8 pin connectors because it works. I
I'm
mean, you
just
can
wondering if like,
bend those cables to the high heavens, and then they're going to work.
but I'm just wondering if like with the 3.0 like PSUs, for example, is that rather than being say recommended 900, someone's running say an 800. So it's actually got to draw more, and it's causing that extra heat there
See, I reckon if
on
you're
that plug, on
using,
that connector. Because once they push that card, it's going to suck more of it.
yeah,
It's you
see
would think
if
it
you're
would do the
using
opposite. You think it would actually shut down, but it may not.
yeah, if you're using a 3.0 power supply, that shouldn't be the issue because it should sort of regulate and possibly just throttle the amount of power that's going to your GPU.
Yeah,
Because it can actually talk to each other. But if you're using a 2.0 power supply, it's sort of like a free run.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so it could be, you know, overdrawing power, you know, sending too much power down the
Exactly. That's
cables
what.
and
Yeah,
causing it to
maybe
heat up. That's a possibility there because you will have people who don't have,
that
you know,
3.0.
big enough power supplies. You know, they could be
Mm-hmm.
running a 750, and it's been shown you can run a 4090 on a 750 watt power supply. It's not recommended,
Yeah,
but
it's
you can
highly not recommended.
you can technically do it. And going any lower than that, you've got to start tweaking stuff like power delivery voltages and all that sort of jazz
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get
yeah.
it under spec. So, I mean, this is where the minimum PSU recommendations really come into play. You know, the minimum recommendation is 850 watts.
Yeah,
The best advice is stick to that. You know, make sure you have at least 850 watts in your system, or otherwise,
so
you know,
I want to ask you. Like, I know what you're saying with these recommended power supplies, but I want to ask you, with the fact that they've got these issues now,
hmm,
plus the new AMD cards coming out, do you think we've seen the last of this NVIDIA architecture?
absolutely yes, yeah. And if they on, if they continue down the path that they're on, they're in for a whole world of hurt. There is no good outcome for the direction that they're heading. I mean, surely they wouldn't. You know, they've already had major issues with
Yeah.
this lineup of cards. You
Mm.
know, you know, power draw, heat, melting adapters. You know, it's a nightmare for Nvidia right now. And then
Oh,
on top of that,
absolutely.
you know, releasing a product, the 4080 12 gig and then not releasing it, and then coming back to call it the 4070 Ti. Like, there's that, and then there's the release of the RTX 4080, which flopped because obviously it's going to compete with the 7900 XTX, and from what we've seen, the 7900 XTX is going to be cheaper, just as powerful, if not a little bit more powerful. So people were sort of holding off. They
Yeah.
kind of want to see those figures there. But overall, I think Nvidia's just absolutely shoved their foot in it, and they're going to need an absolute miracle to recover from this.
So
And,
while we're talking about the architecture, how much
Hmm.
do you think the EVGA walking away from Nvidia has played a part in a lot of this stalemate on the
hurt.
market?
That hurt. I mean, because EVGA was one of their best partners. Like,
Yeah,
they
100%, hands
killer
down.
cards. Like, they knew the card game well, and they nailed every product. Them walking away from Nvidia is definitely going to hurt the consumer market. Especially considering the card that they had made was substantially better than the reference card anyway. But even that, I think, you go to the chip design, which is probably the biggest thing at this stage. You've got Nvidia with their monolithic die, and then you've got
massive.
AMD with their brand new chiplet design.
Yeah.
So yes, this is where a lot of people don't sort of understand what's going on. It's like, yes, AMD have a chiplet design. They may be lower spec than the 4090, which is fine. They weren't really competing with that anyway. But
No,
it's more power efficient, and it's going to be future proofed. Like, so already, AMD is a step ahead of Nvidia with a chiplet design,
providing they can build on this base. Yeah,
I mean, but we've seen it.
Probably the next series of cards will be strong. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've seen it with the Zen CPUs. They introduced chiplet design. It only got better and better as it went on. So, taking that trend into play, they're very good at chiplet designs. They know what they're doing. So,
I mean, they're pioneers of it, aren't they?
Yeah, so they've taken the first step on the GPU route. It's only a matter of time before AMD GPUs are just the shit.
100%.
So,
like, I totally agree that I think AMD, like I said, we spoke about this off air and stuff like that. I think AMD is still probably 5 years away from being an absolute masterpiece. But I guess my question is, how much of the EVGA walking away will play a part in it? Is because now NVIDIA's seen what AMD is going to bring to the market. How long do you think before we start seeing that flow-on effect down, and obviously NVIDIA looking at it and going, well, maybe we can do that, and we can,
I
push more of the growth. Like,
yeah.
What are you seeing on that?
We spoke about that last time. Where I suspect NVIDIA would probably go for a dual die setup instead of like a chiplet design. But NVIDIA essentially has pulled an Intel. Refusing to change whatever it is that they're doing and just enhance their current product. Because they're saying it's an enhanced 4nm design. It's not. It's still 5nm. It's just spec'd a little bit differently. So it's not 4nm. Don't buy into that garbage. Moore's law is still definitely a thing in play right now. But they're getting cocky. We could tell they were getting cocky. A generation back.
Easy, yeah.
People are going to buy it regardless. But we don't really need to do a lot. People are going to buy our stuff because it's good. It's better than the competition. In some aspects, your stuff.
The 30 series cards were, yes, totally they were.
Yeah.
They were leaping
hands
down in front of the competition because AMD had nothing at that price point. They had nothing in that structure.
Will not argue with that.
But that was, I think the 30 series was just a halfway point because they went 20 series and they spent some time with that. Then they went 30, 60, 30, 70, 38, 30, 90, 40. They just like almost that last series was almost just like an abolishment. It's just like, here, take all the old stock, put it on a board. We'll call it a 30 series while we start building these 40 series. So it was almost like a halfway level, I guess. So it should have been an RTX 20.5 series, not a 30 series, you know, like,
but
and then
yeah, but
AMD
like,
hit with this one. And now, like, it's hit pretty hard in the market. Like, I'm not going to suggest that, you know, I'm going to jump ship and go to AMD. And I'm not saying I'm an NVIDIA fanboy either, but from a market standpoint, it's got to start looking a little more in favor of Team Red over this side. It's got to start looking a little bit more Team Red.
yeah, like AMD. The thing about AMD is that they're willing to make the change. You know, they're willing to try something different to try and get a foothold in the market.
Well, what have they got to lose?
Because, well, they, I mean, they could lose big time. I don't think they're going to.
But in a lot of ways, aren't AMD in this market right now? Aren't they kind of like an indie developer where they can throw everything at it, and if it explodes and goes big, it's great. If it
Yes
doesn't,
and
we're not
no.
really any worse off. Because they're not really any worse off, are they? If
All right,
this
so
doesn't blow up and be a big thing, they're
I
not
think
worse off.
I think the Radeon 5000 and 6000 series were like a testing and proving ground.
Yeah,
you know, because that was their first major leap back into the GPU sector. And, you know, they made leaps and bounds during those two generations of cards. They went from, the 5000 series when it came out, everyone was like, well, it's not really going to compete with NVIDIA. It's been out
it
for
wasn't
ages.
great.
Yeah, but, you know, given time, you know, they improved their drivers, improved their software, you know, everything's sort of worked out in the end, and come to the end of the 6000 series, they've actually made a lot of progress. And
Yeah, I guess my point is they're not known for it, are they?
Well, no, but they're doing a damn good job at it.
Right. I mean, that's basically like an indie developer, aren't they? They're not known for making good games and big games, but they're doing a damn good job at it. They can do a better job than the bigger guys sometimes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of put AMD right now with their GPUs in that indie sort of stage where they could throw the kitchen sink at it and go, "We got the best there is," and it explodes and be something huge. Or if it backfired and didn't go anywhere, they're not any worse off because they've still got their structure there. So I don't see it being a bad thing for AMD to start reinventing and recreating something different in that aspect.
But also considering AMD itself is a couple of generations behind technology-wise, you know, when you look at the video encoding and ray tracing and all that sort of jazz, they're a couple of generations behind when it comes to that. But they're still clipping at the heels of NVIDIA. So whatever they're doing it right. And I think
exactly right.
This whole chiplet design is their step to try and get in front of NVIDIA. You know, because they've taken a whole new approach, a different leap, and they know what they're doing.
Look,
like
I'll be honest with you. I hate the fact that we're sitting here now saying, "Oh, they could be better than NVIDIA." I don't want them to be better than NVIDIA. I want them to be AMD. I just want to look at an AMD product and say, "That's a good product." I want to be able to look at NVIDIA and say, "That's a good product," but I prefer this. I don't understand why we've got this NVIDIA AMD fucking better, whatever. I don't like it. Just let them make their cards, let them produce it, put it out in the market. If you like it, use it. If you don't use it. Like shit.
I don't. All right. I don't think they're trying to compete as such. You know, it's probably
not generally, no.
Worst way to put it. But they're not trying to be the best. They want to put out a product that is comparable to competition's products.
Oh, I mean that's growth
at a
in
cheap
an industry,
price point.
Yeah, that's growth in an industry. They all want to try and get to that level, so they offer a similar product that might be slightly better or you know just close to it. But I think both companies need to be taken on their merit. Like both companies have been pioneers for a long period of time.
Yeah.
AMD really pushed the CPU market and really made that just their own. Like that,
yeah.
if you want a high quality CPU and you want something that does multitasking well, you go AMD Ryzen. You do push that line.
There is
And
no question.
Nvidia's they've had the GPUs for a long period of time as well, but that's not to say they can't, stumble on that market. That's not to say they can't fall on their own laurels and end up falling behind the market, because some people
Yeah.
are going to innovate and create something new and different that achieves the same goals at half the standpoint.
And that's where they've put their foot in it, because they're refusing to innovate, clearly,
Yep.
because this generation looks the same as the last generation. They're not willing to push the envelope. So I think AMD is just going to come out on top this generation, just by the sheer negligence of Nvidia.
Nvidia, the sheer
Yeah,
cockiness of it all.
yeah. Not
I
to
mean,
say
I'm
that
still,
AMD is going to have a better product, but when you look at price per performance,
hmm.
I
I'm
mean
still keen to
it's
see how Intel goes, like with their GPUs and stuff, because again,
well
your AMD
on
and
that.
your AMD CPUs and GPUs work well together. Intel, again, could just work well. Maybe Nvidia is actually
Yeah.
starting to float away from the market.
Hmm. Well, on Intel, there's news floating around that they won't be making future GPUs. So that's interesting. Because you look
Ooh.
at the A700 series that they've got, right? They're very dedicated for a specific environment. They'd only
Yeah,
work well under DirectX 12, and they would only work well with their stuff. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
was very sort of proprietary in a way. I believe that they might be doing another generation of GPUs, but obviously, if that doesn't go to plan, they're pulling the plug. So it may be just the shortest product release we've ever seen when it comes to GPUs. So I don't know. It'd be
that's a
interesting.
shame because I would have liked to have seen Intel rise to that challenge a little bit.
Yeah, I think they might have been a little bit too ahead of their time on what they were
Yeah,
expecting. Only restricting it to DirectX 12 and then having like a major performance drop when you have it backwards compatible with
yeah, yeah,
DirectX
yeah.
9. So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think I can't see Intel lasting personally.
For
I
GPUs, no,
think
probably not.
no. I think they might do another lineup at a future point, maybe. And if they do, I think that's going to be the last of it, because they won't be able to compete in the market at all.
Yeah. No, well, I'm still keen. I want to see the greed come out of Nvidia. I want to see them actually come with something new, and I want to see AMD do what they do best and keep innovating with their products. So,
Mm.
I mean, right now both companies
Yeah,
got something to work on, and
yeah.
I mean, we'll definitely have to watch that
And
road as the future gets on.
AMD have just dropped the price of all their Ryzen 7000 CPUs as well. Knocked like $50 off nearly all of them, which
Mhm.
now makes them cheaper than the current, is it 12th gen, 13th gen Intel
I think it's
CPUs,
12th,
12th
12th.
gen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 12th or
So
13th gen. Yeah,
it
something
now
like that.
puts them at a cheaper price point to their 12th gen counterparts, and it's just a better buy overall. So
I mean, like I said before, if you want a CPU, you're definitely floating more towards Team Red for that because you're just getting quality. You know what you're
yeah,
going to get.
yeah, no, absolutely. Uh, One interesting thing that it's very interesting. So
Mhm.
Twitch is experimenting uh, on a React system to their stream content.
Did you say Twitch or YouTube?
Twitch. I know it's hard to tell the difference between the two nowadays.
it's 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 blurring the line, isn't it? It really is
It,
blurring that seamless join. It's just starting to blur
it
that a little bit now,
is.
isn't it?
So it's an experimental feature where you can react to content roughly every 5 minutes. Uh, so you can sort of it's I, right. So it's for the content creator to sort of look at their stream and go, "Wow, people really liked that moment," kind of thing, or this part of the stream and whatnot. Is it a gimmicky feature?
Um, well, that in itself kind of seems more like it should belong on a VOD or a video, like a YouTube style, like past broadcast, not a live content.
Yeah, no, I
I
can see
really
that.
don't. I don't like. I guess if it was on a VOD and you could go back and see the VOD and say, oh, look, 15 people liked that moment. You could clip it, put it up on socials. You could take it out and say, hey, look, this is a top moment in the stream from yesterday. Like, it would create more content in some ways.
Yes, no, I agree.
I think just by doing it on a live video, I think it kind of again, you're going to get the guys who are just going to sit there and go 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. You're just going to like every 5 fucking minutes, and
Yeah,
it's just going to get to a point where it's I guess a shit show ultimately, for use of better wording. Where on the videos, at least if 10 people have liked something that's 2.5 hours in the video, people have watched it to that point. They're trying
yeah,
to keep up with it, so everyone goes, "Oh, that was really cool. I love the way he got that 360 double
yeah.
backflip no scope." And that gives you a moment in time that you can snip out. So
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel around that feature for a live broadcast.
I
It
think you're
feels a
right.
little gimmicky.
All right, I could see that sort of feature working on YouTube, for example.
100%. Yeah.
Because the way YouTube works at the moment, it's very clunky, and you don't get decent analytics for like 48 hours at least.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And some of it's very confusing. But if you had you know that sort of reaction system where you could see, I mean, you see where people watch the most, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything. If
No,
you had a
because
reaction system, you could go, oh, well, people really enjoyed that specific
that
moment
moment.
out
Yeah.
of that entire arc of people rewatching that bit of the content. Then that could be a good clip, as you said, or like a highlight reel or whatever. But
Mm.
during a live stream, I think it's redundant. Because I mean,
Well, I mean,
if
Twitch
people are
over there,
enjoying
they
your
can make
content, they're
clips
going to
anyway,
watch.
and they can make
Well, yeah,
clips anyway.
yeah, but what's the purpose of reacting to a live stream?
Yeah,
There,
I
I
don't
can't
understand
seem
it.
to think of any reasonable way that it could make sense, because
No.
if people are enjoying the live stream, they're going to chat, or they're going to lurk, so they're going to view. So it's however
Mm.
many concurrent
Mm.
viewers you have, or how many people are talking in chat. Because you do something extremely poggers on stream, people are going to talk in chat. Like
Yeah,
they're
you're
going
going
to
to be able to
react to
gauge
that.
off the chat
Yeah,
interaction as to how good that moment was. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
totally.
can't see it. I can't
No,
see it being a
I don't.
substantial thing that makes sense.
Now, in saying that, and I'm going to call out our great developer here on Glimish, Memory Leak Death. If
Mm.
he's watching, good evening, sir. Howdy, and keep up the good work. What you're doing.
Apologies in
But I've been
advance.
watching him lately, doing some programming where he's adding in a reaction feature for lurkers.
Mm.
Now, the thing that I don't know, like again, a balancing act here. Like it's a lurker system, which is fine, but how do you qualify a lurker? How is it identified that a lurker's like that? Because if I'm sitting in your chat
all
and I
right.
can still click it, then I'm not really a lurker, am I?
All right. So, all right, this is where it gets really complicated, right? So, it's it's chatting without chatting.
Yeah,
So,
I understand what he's doing,
a
because he just
lurker
want to
would
commit to a
be someone
conversation.
who's
That's
not,
fine.
yeah. So a lurker would be someone who's not chatting in chat.
Yes.
You know, someone who major like 99% is just simply watching your stuff.
But my point was, how do you identify a lurker who's like that system?
Well, I don't think that's the intention of it. I think the intention is just a generic reaction thing. It's not,
But then aren't
you
we
know,
looking at the
so
same
anyone
sort of
could
experiment that Twitch
use
is
it.
running?
Well, no, because it's not.
The
It's not.
stream, it's only chat, but it's still
There's not
very...
that, but there's no data collection. There's no, you know,
No,
between
but you'll
this
still see
minute
that.
you had
Like
these reactions or whatnot.
but I'm sure you'll see it in the chat. Like you'll be looking at a message for, like, example, Sainted Ladies on the waving icon. Now, if someone's reacted to that and like that, we're going to see that in the chat. We're going to be like, oh, what? We're going to see that. So, is it not similar s kind of same thing they're doing? Just not on the live feed. It's just in the chat. Like, take
I
nothing away. Memory Leak is an awesome. Like, I love what he's doing, and I understand what he's doing. I understand what he's saying is, if like if he's working away and he's got, say, SideNote up on the side there, and he can't commit to having a conversation, say, this is what I'm up to. He wants to be able to react in the chat.
mm,
But I kind of think if you're lurking, then you probably don't really want to be focused up there at all. Like, you're not trying
mm,
to read, you're just listening to what's going on so you can still
yeah.
focus on what you're doing. So I
I
see
think
what he's doing, and I love what he's doing. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not hanging shit on the idea, because I love the idea. But I'm just wondering, is it a little bit too early in the life of what's going on for that to be
right.
executed properly?
So the way I'm thinking about it, right? There's a very it's very set set of circumstances, right? Where the liking a comment could come into play. So already very limited. But there's also a very small window in your streaming career where it's actually useful. So early on, not much happens in chat. It's kind of pointless, really.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't say put a like to something that the streamer said. It's only to comments. So you know you're sort of in an awkward spot there where it doesn't work. Then there's the spot where you have a certain amount of people in chat, certain comments are being made, people can like it. It kind of works depending on the scenarios.
So my
Then you,
point though, would the feature not be better just targeted at a general consensus of everybody rather than just saying this is a lurker feature?
I think, yeah, yeah, it shouldn't be labeled as a lurkers feature. It's just a generalized feature.
That was my point. Is do we need that as a lurker feature, like as a lurker general feature, or should it just
Yeah,
be, hey, you join the chat, you see what's going, you're picking up the vibe, and you see a chat and like a comment in the chat, and you go, oh, I actually like that. So a
yeah,
reactions to the chat, I think
yeah,
is what
yeah.
he's going
So
to, because I
so
think
more of a
generally
generic
when
thing.
so because I think generally the word lurker in the industry that we're in is generally someone who's got the tab open but isn't actually there per se.
Mm. Not well. It's sort of a broad spectrum, isn't it? Because you could have a tab open on someone's stream. You're not actually there. You're not watching, but you're still
Mm,
supporting them. Uh,
yes.
or like there are times where I've had someone's stream open on a different screen, and I've just had them there. I'm not actually interacting with the stream at all. I'm just sort of
But that's what I'm saying. You're
you know,
there, but
kind
you're
of
not
watching in my
technically
peripheral
there.
vision and sort of
Yeah.
listening occasionally. Yeah. Um, but then there's the other ones who are, you know, intently watching whatever's going on, but they don't feel the
Hmm.
need to type in chat. So it's a very broad spectrum
But
of
then technically they're
lurker.
not there, are they? If they're watching, they're not technically there, so they're still a lurker.
Yeah, but you're not technically there when you've got a tab open and it's hidden by everything
That's what I'm
else.
saying, though. But that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying, though, is lurkers are those that are got the tab open, whether they're watching, listening, or not there. They're still just lurkers. So I don't see if they're lurking, they probably wouldn't want to try and interact anyway. So that's what I'm saying. The feature that he's currently working on would be better as a
it's more of
generalized feature, just saying, "Hey, here's a chat reaction feature,"
okay.
rather than a lurker reaction feature. If that
Well,
makes sense.
it's more of an anonymous reaction. So you
Yeah, that's what I'm
still
saying. It's a chat reaction.
yeah, but it's anonymous. So it sort of
Yeah,
circumvents the whole, you know, not being a lurker thing.
committing to
So
conversation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, because you put something in chat, your name's there. You could have like an anxiety attack or something. I don't fucking know.
No, but what
But
I'm
having
saying though
it
is,
as like an anonymous reaction, they have an extra ability to interact with the stream,
hmm,
but not sort of be seen, so
yeah,
to
that's what I'm
speak.
saying.
So
Though, would
I get it
the
from that
whole
point of view.
the whole feature though would be better as a just a general chat reaction
Yeah, not
and
necessarily
just labeling
lurkers
it for
feature.
lurkers. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to get to.
yeah,
Like I said, I see what he's doing and I understand what he's doing, and I do get the concept, but I just think it's probably more of a general usage rather
mm,
than just aimed for certain people to use it.
yeah. No, I'll agree. I'm very much on the fence with the whole idea. Um, I kind of get it, but I kind of don't get it.
Yeah.
So
No. I mean,
I don't know.
I get it 100%. Like, I do understand it, and I understand
Yeah.
what he's pushing for, and like I said, absolutely amazing with what he's doing. He does all these
Oh,
features, and
absolutely, 100%.
mind-boggling to sit and watch him and just listen to what goes through his brain when he's talking about these ideas, and it is good with what he's doing. I just think that it may be detargetalizing, I guess,
Yeah,
or detargeting a certain group and just saying, hey, everybody can react to chat. Like if you're talking and you like something that, like D-Day's put in the
yeah,
dancing parrot, if you like that, hit the like button. Who cares? Like, rather than
yeah,
actually just targeting it at one group.
yeah. No, I get that entirely, and I'm looking at like a future case scenario as well, where
Hmm.
that feature won't work. Say you explode on Glimish and your chat's just just scrolling like crazy. You're not going to have time to like any of that sort of stuff. I mean, that's an
And I guess
extreme case,
I guess
obviously.
the other tool, I guess, in that situation and memory leak, again, if you watch it, we're not criticizing you by any stretch of imagination. We love the work you do. Please
Yeah,
do not take this to heart. Um, the other thing too that kind of um that feature I could see working really well for, and it's kind of something that's been spoken about in the building Glimish a little bit, is I don't really want to touch too much on it, and I don't really want to give too much away on it. But as a streamer, if we're sitting here and we see that that message from Sainted Lady is just pinging because people are liking it or it's been liked, the community likes that. So as a streamer, we could look at that and say, okay, Sainted Lady is going to stream when we're finished. So let's go and drop them over there. So it could kind of influence a raid or a host, maybe.
you could gauge how many people are actually
You
interested in
could
said
sort of
thing.
gauge a little bit of interest off someone's comment. So if there's a little bit of interest there, you could kind of maybe use that to guide your raids and
Hmm.
hosts
I
maybe,
mean, but
so that
I mean
your
that's
people, your
obviously
community are actually liking that content.
that's obviously one scenario. Like another scenario, if say someone suggests a game, you know, you're streaming and someone says, you should really look into, Need for Speed Unbound, for example, and then
Exactly.
people start liking that, and you're like, oh, okay, so people are
Okay, so
actually
they want to
interested in
see it.
that.
So yeah,
Yeah,
you could kind of gauge your content a little bit. Yeah. So I think
yeah,
the feature he's working on has multiple angles to play with.
mm,
It's just how it's interpreted, I think,
yeah,
by the use of its original name of what the feature is.
yeah, yeah. It could have potential. Uh, Again, I said this to memory, like it's a niche product. It's a
Oh,
niche
100%. Like
niche
again,
feature,
but that's
but
where if you can
it could
take it from a
be.
niche feature and you can
Mm,
turn it into a
mm. Oh
usable
yeah,
feature, it could
but
be a
it
very
could
handy
also
feature.
be the niche feature that people are looking for. It could just be that
Exactly.
right one
Exactly
that
right.
hits the right spot. So
Exactly right. That's what I'm saying. If it's
yeah,
done the right way, it can be used for many, many, many different options.
yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, Memory Leak, keep up the good work, bud. Really love
Yeah.
watching it and
Yes,
and looking at what you're doing is crazy. So yeah, keep up the good work on that.
indeed. Now,
Oh, here it comes.
I've had a bit of a whinge about this on Twitter. Twitter which apparently is disappearing as it's
Dying.
going. Yeah, that's a whole other topic. I'm not going to go into that one.
Yeah, no, not today.
So
We don't have time for
I
that.
had a bit of a whinge earlier this week about Sony's behavior
Oh God.
in the gaming sector, because naturally they're ridiculously butthurt that Microsoft is buying into Activision Blizzard, and they're not happy about it. Mainly because Call of Duty is one of the main AAA games that Activision Blizzard owns. Uh, and they're just acting like a bunch of spoiled children. That that's probably the nicest way I could
I
put that.
mean,
Uh,
look, I,
out
like
of everything that's come out,
this. This stems back to very early on with the console wars and each having to be better than the next. That's what it comes back to.
well, not even. It's not even that, right? Okay, so everyone's on board with this acquisition, including Activision Blizzard. Like everyone's on board except for Sony and whatever regulators they're bitching to.
Mm-hmm.
Because naturally, the regulators they're like, oh, clearly there's a concern. We need to look into this buyout. But everyone else is on board.
Yeah,
Sony is just whinging and crying like a toddler at a shopping center.
but the reason I say this stems back from the console war is it comes back from very early on where Sony had to be better than Xbox. Xbox did something to be better, and then Sony. It's just built that
There was the
gravitational
console
pull
wars, yeah.
to
But
that point,
it's
and now it's at a point where Jim Ryan's gone, oh, um,
but it's not even a
shit.
console war now.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's,
There
no,
is no
but if you
console war because
read,
everything's on every console.
yeah, but if you read what's going on, it's not a console war. It's Jim
No,
Ryan being like, "We're losing our AAA game." Like
he's
that's
not
all it
losing
is.
anything.
But I
All
know
he's
he's
going
not.
to
Like, right.
lose is the exclusive thing that says, "Oh, you guys get 2 weeks free of fucking skins." Like, again,
Look, okay,
dude,
on
you're
that,
whinging about
right?
skins. Come on.
Sony
Oh,
is the king of exclusive content. If there's ever exclusive content, Sony's smothering it with a pillow. You know, because they've got exclusive IPs, they've got exclusive
yeah.
content, exclusive timed stuff, and everyone else just sort of deals with it. Right? They've
Do you know what?
always done that, especially with Call of Duty.
Do you know what I think the trigger point though is with this acquisition? I don't think it's the Activision Blizzard acquisition that's caused this trigger point. I think what really butthurt Sony is Hideo Kojima saying, "I'm out,
Yeah,
and I'm going to the part.
it's
I'm going
huge.
to the dark side." He gave the big middle finger. He told Jim Ryan to shove off, and he left. And I think that's what this whole thing about the Activision Blizzard buyout is. It's because he's lost Hideo Kojima, and they were that was the biggest drive for Sony at one stage
Yeah.
there, because Hideo, he was there. He was there. He was Sony. He was Team Blue all the way through. Now he's taken the blue hat off, thrown it in, and said, "See you, Jim. I'm going to Team Green," and put the Xbox hat on. And I think that's what this trigger point is over. I think if that didn't happen, I don't think Sony'd be arcing up anywhere near as much as they are right now.
I kind of think they would have, though. They still would have had a
Oh,
bit
they
of a
would have
hissy fit.
fought. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you look at the player base on Call of Duty, it is absolutely massive.
But can I remind you that in the beta for Modern Warfare 2, that only happened a matter of like 6-8 weeks ago, 60,000 PlayStation's accounts were banned before it even hit Xbox and PC. So their player base is shit anyway.
All right. But Sony's acting like they're losing Call of Duty. They're not losing Call of Duty. Microsoft have already agreed to a 10-year plan to keep Call of Duty on the console as it is now. Like, yeah, they might lose out on some exclusive content or
skins or whatever,
early access content or whatever, but the game's still going to be there. The player base is still going to be there.
Like, Jim Ryan's got to look at this properly and look, if by chance he ever views the stream, I hope he does, because he's got to look at this as a fucking man and go, right, if we had it and we said we weren't going to take it off the platform, you wouldn't take it off the platform. Like, even he's got the brains to realize if Microsoft took it away from Sony, they would lose money. It wouldn't even be a smart choice.
But even with this
Jim,
10-year
come
plan
on, man,
on the table, Jim's cracking a sad saying that it's going to force people to leave their PlayStation behind and buy an Xbox to play Call of Duty.
No, it's not.
How the fuck does that work?
The game is still going to be on brain in his head, clearly. It's 10 years. He's probably not even going to be around at Sony in 10 fucking years.
Yeah, probably. Not the way he's carrying on anyway.
So he's probably going to be gone in the next 5.
But he's also carrying on saying that, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard is going to force console prices to increase along with game prices. Now, let me just point out for a fucking second.
But then he's already done that.
PlayStation are on their 3rd revision of their PS5 console.
Yeah.
Right? And have increased the price by $50 and increased their games from $60 to $70 in the US.
Yeah.
Prior to all of this nonsense going down.
But Xbox can't do what we do.
But PlayStation better.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, he's literally telling these regulators that Microsoft cannot do what Sony's been doing for 3 years plus.
Yep.
So we're allowed to do it, but don't let them do it. And does he not realize that Xbox is already making a loss on all their consoles anyway?
I mean,
so while he's price hiking them up,
really.
But while he's price hiking them up, Xbox is saying we'll just leave ours there. We're our prices haven't changed. We're losing $200 plus a console. Who cares?
All gaming consoles, regardless of who they're from, get subsidized.
You're gonna lose.
They lose money every console they sell or make. But
they have to.
They make up that cash in accessories, subscription, all the other first-party stuff, not games.
Do you think Xbox hasn't sat there and gone, we can sell it at this because Game Pass makes that up?
Why not?
I mean, come on.
I mean,
like the amount of Game Pass would be making up any shortfall on the consoles.
Clearly, whatever Xbox is doing, it's working. Because we haven't seen a price increase. We haven't seen games increase in price.
But just because it's working doesn't mean they're going to put prices up when they own Activision Blizzard.
No.
And it's not going to drive consoles higher in price. That's Sony just being greedy.
I mean, but it's putting pressure on Sony because they've just increased their console prices. And if people because people are dumb, they're going to be like, oh, Xbox owns Activision Blizzard now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to play on PC or Xbox now. They're not going to think, oh, well, it's still on PlayStation.
It's just a
So,
game.
so people
Fuck.
are going to, there are a lot of stupid people who are going to shift over. And they'll probably be like Xbox fanboys all of a sudden. Be like, oh, Xbox is great. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier.
Yeah, right.
But it's going to hurt Sony because
Uh,
there's going to be that natural shift. People are going to move over because they are stupid.
well,
And it's going to hurt Sony because they've increased their prices. So they're going to have to decrease their prices to try and entice people to come back over. But that's not going to be a financial option, really. So
no.
Sony's
And
hurting.
who's made that? And who's made that new bloody PlayStation controller that's got the offset sticks like an Xbox controller?
I haven't seen that one.
There's a new. I'm not sure if it's Razer or someone like that have made a new PlayStation controller, and it's got offset sticks. I'll have to see if I can find it.
That's interesting.
I've seen it on Twitter and stuff, but again, like people in this gaming industry, people need, or actual gamers, not in the industry, but gamers need to realize Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, Steam, Blizzard, EA, they're all just launchers. There's nothing more than what they are. They're just a freaking launcher. If you've got the
You
console,
don't need to
that
choose
launcher
a side.
will play the freaking game. Stop choosing a side. Who cares?
You don't need to choose a side. It's like,
Plug your PlayStation
but
or into your Xbox and use it. Who gives a shit? Like, it's a
yeah,
controller.
like it's funny, like, because you see some of those people, they're PS5 fanboys, and like, oh, I only play on PlayStation and PC because fuck Xbox.
Yeah, I play.
It's like, yeah, but
I play
you're
on
using
PC. Yeah.
so there's a pretty
Yeah.
good chance that you're still supporting Microsoft anyway by
Well, you've got
playing
Microsoft
certain types of
Windows.
games. Yeah, but
Xbox
they're
is
the
already
people who are
included
like,
in
I'm
Windows.
never buying an Xbox. I'll play whatever games they've got on PC because fuck Xbox.
Yeah,
You still
exactly.
but
It's still the same network, you twit. It still runs off Microsoft.
it's the same thing.
Like, it's just the
it's just a platform. It doesn't
look
we
it's
play
not even
games.
a platform at this stage. Look, it's not even a platform at this stage. A platform was 10 years ago. We're not at that stage anymore. Xbox, PlayStation, all of those things now, they're all just launches. They're just game launches. You put the game in the library, you launch it from that source. That's all it is. Like, stop. For
there's
God's
still
sakes.
people out there who are like, oh, PlayStation's better because it's got this exclusive title. That's great. Technically, PC is better than smart ass Sony fanboy because of all the exclusive games that release on PC. I mean, like 90% of the Steam library are games that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this now. So, PDP Victrex Pro BFG wireless controller for PS5, PS4, and PC has offset sticks.
How much is it?
$249.95 Australian.
So still cheaper than the PlayStation 5 Pro controller. Okay, cool. All right. Just because how much was the PlayStation 5 Pro controller? It was like $300 or some shit over here. Like some. Well, that's the other thing. Like they've made a controller
Razer,
that's so overpriced.
It was Razer. Unveiled
there you go.
Pro style PS5 controller, and it has offset sticks. I think ladies just got the drop the link in chat for us right there.
I mean, so you've got everything from PlayStation increasing in price. Like everything increasing in price. No, like Xbox doesn't have to do anything at this stage. They can just sit back and just watch the fire burn. They don't have to make acquisitions. They don't have to do anything, really. Because Jim Ryan and Sony are just gonna stick their foot in it.
Yeah.
And
There's that link there if
they're
anyone wants to
causing
check
their
out
own
that
problems.
controller as well. It is on Twitter, so check that out. But and there's the Razer website for the
Yeah, I'll put those links in the video.
the controller. And literally, look, if you take a look at it, like I'm not sure you've clicked on that link, Speed, but I mean, check it. It dead set looks like an Xbox controller. I'm sorry. It's obviously got the Sony features. It's got the Sony share button and the touchpad window, but
Oh, that's weird.
even down to the fucking back of the controller, it's got the locks and the everything.
Okay,
It's
so that essentially is a
an
PlayStation
Xbox.
5 Pro controller. That's $50 cheaper than the official Pro controller. That's interesting.
Yeah, check that out. For guys on YouTube, that link for Razer will be down the bottom with that offset controller for PlayStation. Again, look, the console war ended. Like let's grow up. Let's understand that's finished. It's over. It's not going to be a thing in the future. It's not. It hasn't been a thing for a long time. So can we just move on with that and understand that Sony is just doing this because they want to whinge and have something to complain about.
Yeah, they still want to be the best.
They're not losing anything, and Jim Ryan's got to get this through his head that he's not losing anything. He's just crying like a baby because he can make noise.
Maybe they should change their tagline from "all about the gamer" to "all about the profits." Maybe, I don't know, just an idea. Because clearly they're not about the gamer
far
anymore.
Off the truth. It clearly wouldn't be on the. I mean, for him to blatantly come out and say, "Oh, the gamers are going to have to change consoles," like, mate, you're either completely sideways with your brain, or you just want to make
people
noise.
to buy an Xbox. Yeah,
like he's either got to be making noise just to be heard, or he's delusional.
Yeah, this coming from the only side
king of exclusives,
the console platforms that has a VR headset, right? So anyone who's a console gamer that wants to play in VR, you've got to
has to go to Sony.
PS5. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, where's your argument there, Jim?
He's delusional. It's as simple as that. He's not. He's a few bolts short upstairs, I think.
He's heading in the same direction as Mark Zuckerberg, unfortunately. Except Mark's an alien. We all know that.
Mark's that's a whole nother thing. Let's not even start on Facebook right now.
No, we'll leave that one for next show. All right.
Yeah, next show. Tune in when we find out about what Zuckerberg's been up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Yeah. Thank you guys. That's probably going to wind us up for today. Again, make sure you're checking on all the socials as we run through the Discord. If you want to be in the show, come and share your views and get your opinions out there and share what you feel about the industry and what we're talking about on the day. Please join the Discord. Come and join us on the show. Happy to have you on the show and hear what you've got to say. It takes a bit of a focus off us guys, and we don't need to dribble so much shit.
As much as we like talking all the time, it is actually quite nice having that third or fourth person in occasionally.
And we are open to 4, 5, whatever. You guys want to come on, you come and join us on the show. Also, give the Twitter a follow at the SideNote Show. Also, don't forget YouTube there as well. SideNote Show for our handle. It's a little bit easier to remember than the
SideNote Show.
At SideNote Show.
Yeah,
a little bit easier to remember than the UCIG TX9, whatever that was.
The tits one,
make sure you give that a follow as well. Hit the subscribe button. Again, subs are free over there.
Yes.
Hit the bell so you never miss a video. And thank you guys for joining in today. And we will see you in a couple of weeks' time with some more news and weather around what's going on in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So take it easy, and we will see you soon. Bye for now.